Sure all our microphones are on. I would like to call the December 2nd, 2024 meeting of the Town of Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll.
Here.
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 Mr. Mays.
Here.
Mr. Stanton.
Here. Please take note of the fire exits located in the front and the rear of this room. At this time, please silence all cell phones and pagers. Please note that tonight's meeting is being streamed on YouTube and is also being recorded. This time, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Has everyone read the minutes of the October 7th, 2024 meeting? Okay. Are there any corrections beyond what was already submitted? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Okay, by Mr. Bick. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Ms. Luckett. When you're ready, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia.
Yes to the motion.
Ms. Luckett. Yes to the motion. Mr. Bick.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays.
I will abstain as I was not here.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. Please note tonight's agenda mentioned approval of November minutes. We did not have a November meeting. The Cicero Town Board acknowledges the importance of full public participation at all public meetings. Therefore, we urge all who wish to address those in attendance to please come to the microphone located in the front of the room. At this time, I will make a motion that all actions taken tonight are type 2 actions and have a negative impact that is no impact on the environment unless otherwise indicated. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Mays. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll.
Mr. Rabia.
Yes to the motion.
Ms. Luckett. Yes to the motion. Mr. Bick.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. We have proof that all items on tonight's agenda have been advertised as directed by law. I will briefly review the process for tonight's meeting for the benefit of those present that have never been before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Each applicant will have an opportunity to describe their project. The board will then ask questions about the project. I will then open a public hearing where people will be able to speak for or against the proposed variance. The applicant will then be given the opportunity to respond to public input and provide additional information. Board members will also be allowed to ask follow-on questions. The board will then openly discuss amongst ourselves the 5 factors that contribute to the final decision. And please note that this board does not have a pre-agenda meeting, so there is no prior discussion of cases outside of this meeting. And then finally, a motion will be made either approving or denying the requested variance, seconded, and voted upon. So tonight we have 5 cases. Everyone bear with us. It may take a while to get through them all, but the first 2 are related variances. The first being an area variance and the second being a sign variance for Bob Kotlars of 5701 and 5703 State Route 31. And we'll be discussing the area variance first and then the sign variance. So let's try and keep it to the area variance to begin with. Mr. Kotlars or his representative.
Good evening, Tim Coyer, iNewsing Romans.
One thing I wanted to do before you got started is I just wanted to go through the Onondaga County Planning Board resolution. One thing that I wanted to note that's in the text of this is that they say a religious institution is not allowed in general commercial. I went back and took a look at the code. That's not correct because the general commercial pulls in all of the other uses in a commercial district, and one of those is religious institutions. So that's not correct, which is good because you don't need a use variance. I also wanted to point out a couple conditions and comments that they had. Are you in possession of these?
I have not seen the county minutes, no.
Okay. We can get you a copy of those if you want them. So the comment was that while recognizing the transitional nature of these parcels, the board, and this is the county planning board, does not generally endorse the creation of nonconforming lots. Both lots include multiple current and proposed nonconformities, and any potential future development on either parcel will have a difficult time meeting the general commercial zoning requirements. Potential changes to the Route 31 corridor itself may also be anticipated, which may further exacerbate difficulties in meeting zoning requirements. The municipality is urged to consider the long-term viability of the lots as proposed as part of these variance and subdivision reviews. So that's a pretty strong statement from the county planning board. And Terry, if we go against any of this, do we need a super majority of? It's a comment. It's not a, okay. They say as a condition of, let me just make sure. Okay, so the condition, it was a comment. I apologize. The condition is the applicant, the municipality must ensure all appropriate access agreements are in place prior to or as a condition of municipal approval of the subdivision. So if this goes forward tonight, that will be added as a condition of approval. The other thing that they wanted to note as a requirement for the project as a whole, that you need to coordinate with New York State 31 access plans with New York State Department of Transportation. And they also talk about the sign, which we'll talk about in the next case. And then they have some recommendations, which I'm sure the planning board will take care of. So with that, if you would like to describe the project, please.
Smaller version with a couple additional maps.
Great.
So I don't know if you're aware, but we did submit a site plan to this project. We have it in front of the planning board multiple times.
Okay. Thank you.
Tim, just as a starting point, we were starting from one parcel, correct? Two existing, okay, all right, I just want to make sure I understood what was happening.
So. Okay, so here's the property that we're talking about. So this is the original Spirits Halloween store that had the big sign on the front of it and all that. That's all coming down. So again, we're looking to propose a church in this building. Right now, as it sits, this is the existing tax parcel line. So you have a parcel here like this, and you have a parcel here like that. This is a residential structure house with a garage. He's actually renting this out as an apartment right now. So this parcel, again, this is the existing store, has all this pavement already, and it's actually utilizing this area already as far as parking and everything. That's how it sits today. So basically this existing parcel line is we're proposing it to move. All right. And basically separate this residential structure. It already has its own existing driveway here. Right now it is connected in this area. If you look at, I think it's sheet 3 of what I handed out, it shows the existing conditions of the site. So we're going to close off that connection, put some landscaping to identify the property line. Again, there's an existing driveway on Route 31 for the store or the church that will be there, which is we already got conditional approval for that. Again, we've been through most of the site plan process with the planning board, and it's very close to being set and approved. We wanted to get the site plan to a point before we came in for our variances, so we made sure that the variances we were going for were realistic, and the planning board didn't have anything that would change the variances. We didn't want to go for the variances first, then get site plan to the point, and then we had to come back and change something to the variances and how we're combining the lots. So that's why we did it a little bit backwards. So the planning board is pretty much in favor of what we're doing here. Again, that we don't have enough. One of the variances that we're going for is, I don't know if you can see it, but this lot here is proposed to be about roughly 69 feet wide. So that's one of the variances we're going for. Again, we'll talk about the sign variance in a second. And the other variance is this 2-foot setback right here on the existing garage. Again, that's kind of where the parcel is existing, somewhat being occupied through here. That's why we have the 2-foot here. Just note that we already have 3.9 on the other side. So it's not anything that's unbecoming of the neighborhood. The one thing I also point out is that with the my laser pointer is dying on me as I talk. There's only roughly 116 or 18 feet of road frontage here. So even if we wanted to, we couldn't create two conforming parcels as far as road frontage. The 100-foot road frontage is required, so we would need 200 feet total, which we don't have. So no matter what, we have to get some type of variance for the road frontage.
The round button on top, sorry, I didn't tell you which one.
Not too much better, but again, this parcel all by itself right now is 60 feet, so it's already existing non-conforming, so we're kind of just flopping the non-conformity to this side, to this parcel over here. As far as the county's concerns, again, existing drive, we already got conceptual approval for what we're doing here. We're really not changing anything with the drive, and this parcel already has an existing drive here. The tax parcels, as far as creating non-conforming, no matter what, we're going to create a non-conforming parcel because there's not enough room there to create a conforming parcel as far as the overall 200 feet. So with the county's comments, you can't do it. We would have to combine it with something else over here to create a full conforming tax parcel with the 100-foot requirement. If you would like, I can go through the 5 factors.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is the required requested variance substantial? Specifically the 2 area variances, yes. Specifically with the 2-foot requirement for the side yard setback. Will an undesirable change be produced in the character or neighborhood of the neighborhood, or will the granting of the area variance create a detriment to nearby properties? No. Again, these both properties are owned by the same property owner. And it's not going to change anything physically. As I said, if you went out there today, this is where the property line looks like it is. It's not like we're physically changing anything as far as the property lines and the function of the properties. Can the benefit sought by the applicant be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than area variances? Again, no matter what, if we subdivide these 2 parcels or do any type of lot line adjustment, we have to get some type of road frontage variances because there's just not enough width there. Was the alleged difficulty self-created? Yes, we're here. We're asking for the variances. Will the variance have an adverse effect on nearby physical or environmental conditions? Again, I don't believe so. We're really not changing anything as far as uses with these properties. We're actually coming down as far as the actual impact on this commercial piece. A church they're not going to have that many attendees. There's only going to be the people there on Sundays and a couple other, like one other time during the week. So it's not going to be a full commercial business. So you're going to actually have less traffic with the commercial property. And again, this is already being rented and there's the people in there using that. So as far as the overall use in the that's out there, nothing's really changing.
Okay. One concern that the county had was they wanted to explore options for parking in back. Now, I kind of looked at that and it didn't seem like there was a lot of room back there.
No, we actually talked about that with the planning board. So that came up with the county's comments. Again, we got a lot of the similar comments when with the site plan application. We would have to steal from this property here to gain access to put any parking through here. So ideally you'd put parking like here and eliminate this. But again, you'd have to then add this parcel into the whole mix of the lot line adjustment and the site plan.
Is this going to remain under a single owner, or is the intent to?
This is going to all remain under the same owner is going to still own everything. He's leasing the church parcel to the church.
Okay. Was there a thought to actually just combining the properties? Because thinking that if you do that, you almost get the parcel size that you want. And if
Um,
it's under the same owner, you might be able
I
to,
guess I would, is it allowed to have the residential and the church all on the same parcel with the zoning? Is that even
so that,
allowed?
is there a possibility that that could be a rectory at some point, or?
No, I don't think so. The current owner
Okay.
wants to keep this a residential apartment.
Okay. I mean, it's an existing non-conforming use to begin with. I'm not sure it's hurting much to put it all together if that gets to the, if that removes some of the variances that we need.
I don't think the owner would be in favor of doing that
Okay.
specifically.
Tim, how many parking spots are required to run the church operation?
Let me go to my parking. So right now we have roughly 60 seats in the church. We're showing a proposed total of 24 parking spaces, which is basically the average for attendees in the church and how many parking spaces are available in a typical church.
Hey, Brian, question for you. Does Cicero have a parking space requirement for buildings of certain square footages? No? Not the amount. Okay. Okay. Just curious. Is that residential property zoned for rental? Is it allowed under the current zoning? Yeah. Okay. The rental aspect is legal non-conforming.
Even just a residence would be,
Okay.
We've got the drive lanes down both sides of that area in the front at 22 feet. Is that best practices? Isn't
Yeah.
it normally 20 feet?
22 is town code for.
Oh, it's code for that. Okay.
We actually added, there's a drive lane in the front along Route 31 that the fire department wanted to see so that we had circulation. Right down here.
And that one is,
That one's only, I think it's 10 feet. With the idea that fire trucks could come in and just pull out, just do a big circle.
okay.
I'm struggling with the creation of the non-conforming at 2 feet. That's where I'm stuck at, so. I'm trying to look for ways to figure out how to get more than 2 feet.
I was getting there myself.
Sorry to jump the gun on you.
No, you're fine.
Have you considered demolishing the garage?
That was not a consideration. I mean, if anything, we could jog this line a little bit and pull the property line more parallel with the parking and pull it away from that garage some. The only reason we didn't is it just creates a little bit of an odd shaped parcel, but
Mhm.
it's something that if the board is worried about the 2 foot, we can adjust that. Make it like 4 feet, so it kind of sort of matches the other one.
So if I hear you right, the entrance is the entrance that's there today. So that's why everything's configured the way it is. One thing that occurred to me as I was looking at this is that you could gain a little bit by shifting that entrance to the east.
I was thinking the same thing.
Not sure you could get,
Shift it to the,
shift the entire thing to the east so you could get maybe 6 feet
no,
to the side.
specifically, we actually thought about shifting it to the east, but actually per code, we're trying to keep a 10-foot buffer for snow in this area. You're talking about taking this driveway and shifting it a little bit here.
You got
You got a
Yep.
power pole here.
Yep.
And again, a lot of the snow is going to go in this area. You have a stockade fence line. And and I think per code, you got to keep at least 10 feet from pavement. If I'm correct, is that correct? Yeah, so we're trying to keep that. That was something we had in some of our initial sketches, but because of the pole and snow removal, we wanted to keep a little bit of distance. And, we have a residential neighbor here we're trying to respect.
On the east side, is that what you're saying? Residential neighbor on the east side, is that what
Yep.
you pointed to?
Yep, this is a residential house right here.
Why couldn't you jog the property all the way over to that first parking spot and pick up the 15 that's required? I think you can come pretty close, right? You probably come to,
it'd
you
be
probably come
like-
to 12.
Be roughly, yeah, it'd be like 10 or 12.
Yeah.
Again, we can do that. We can shift this property line more in here and do that again. I was just thinking it was odd looking, trying to keep it more uniform. But if that's something the board would like to see, we can do that and make it a condition.
Has there been any communication with the state as of yet? With
State
New York
DOT?
State DOT?
Yes, we have state, he's emailed us a conditional approval, I believe. So part of the site plan process, yes, we contact the state DOT for any entrances and revisions to the existing driveways.
Okay.
Sorry,
And they,
this is-
they made no mention of future plans or anything during that.
They probably forgot that they've seen this before.
I understand where you're, a couple of you guys are going with the jog and the property line to avoid that variance where that garage is. I just thinking 50 years down the road, I don't know if we'd want that property line to look like that. You know, I'm talking about like to have that jog to avoid that variance. That's just kind of my opinion on it.
Again, that's why I didn't do the jog.
Yeah.
We don't have an objection to jogging it if it makes the board more comfortable with the variances. It's totally,
Yeah, my only comment to that, Jeremy, is we shouldn't be in the business of creating nonconformities.
Yeah,
That's,
yeah,
that's
no, I
my
understand.
opinion.
Anything else right now? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll give you guys some time to think. We will open the public hearing. So would anyone speak for this? Would anyone speak against this? Come on up to the podium. Make sure you state your name and address.
Yeah, hi, my name is Diane Goodwin. I own the property 5709 to the east.
So the frame house that,
That's really in our backyard. My first question is. if
this,
a
I'm sorry,
site
this
with all-
one right here that I'm circling? This house?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. First of all, this is a residential area. There's all houses around there, and why were we not privy to this whole plan before today or last week when we received the letter about the zoning? And it's funny that some of my neighbors didn't get any notification of this either. So comes as quite a surprise. And I want to know the rules about how close a church can be to a residence. I've never seen this. I've never seen a church smack dab in the middle of a residential area. Traffic, we don't need any more traffic on that road, and noise. Right there. Two bigs. Hard enough to pull out of there to begin with.
Sorry, I'm writing down some of your questions here so that. So just if I understand, the first is what allows a church in this,
Sorry.
the first would be what allows a church in this area. That's the first question. The second was that this is really a residential neighborhood. You also wanted to have a discussion about the, what the, basically the distances that are required for buildings from lot lines. So we call that building location. Am I missing?
I think she asked about notice for the planning commission hearing, if there was one, were they given notice?
So that I can't answer, because we're not the planning board, but I'm assuming that there would have been notice. Now, what I'm seeing here is that 5709 is listed as Diane and Patrick Goodwin as the owners, 103 Wilson Drive, East Syracuse. Is that,
Our, yes, our daughter is living in that house right now.
She now has.
okay. Okay. And you're asserting that there was no notice of this until tonight's meeting?
We got the letter for the variance. You said, or the gentleman said that the site was all planned and you got this pretty big thing here.
And that telephone pole right there, where he's gonna be pushing this.
Sir, if you're gonna, just so we can get you on recording, I need you to come up here and actually talk into the microphone, because otherwise we can't hear you. Which I'm inviting you to come up and talk if you have concerns. Okay, well then come on up.
Gentleman that's leasing this property out, Mr. Lejudas, did not maintain that building that they're gonna convert to a church. It's not fit for occupancy. The roof was neglected. He had electrical stuff outside the building that was not hooked up. He has an electrical apparatus to push his electrical heaters to his snow plows that he illegally parked on that lot right there. It's a U-shaped parking lot. That garage is not used. I don't think he's properly certified to have that property rented out. And that, I don't think it meets code. He's not conducted himself in a neighborly manner and whatnot. And again, I object to them pushing the snow to that telephone pole because that's our property. Our property from the building goes nine inches past the fence. And that gentleman constantly allowed his landscapers to run their deck of their mowers against our property. He pushed the snow against the fence, leaning it, so he trespassed by illegally dumping his snow onto our property. And the fence has been now in the process of tipping over. It's leaning. I took pictures of it. I explained this to the officer. I got nothing. We got 75 feet across the front. And then the one deed where my father-in-law first bought it was 49 feet from the front of the house. It's now 47. I don't know what happened to the 47 feet that the state took off of it, or the county did. But all these things, the garage isn't even used. God knows what's in there. He's got growth in the back all around the building, so it now looks like the wilderness that's back there, and that's wetland. They gotta go ahead and get the Corps of Engineers out there to find out if they're gonna violate anything as far as wetlands go. Because I know they're not allowed to take away wetlands without replacing it. And this is one of the things that concerned me, was the fact that we weren't notified. Mr. Lejudas is not a good neighbor. He's let everything go in that building. If I was a code enforcer, I would condemn it. And I was told by the gentleman that owns the karate shop that it was condemned. And he had somebody living in there. He had a girl living in that building illegally.
Yeah, is that building actually up to code? That's the question.
I think
We
the
know
building
that.
needs to be condemned. I don't think the whole building needs to be inspected and redone. because you're putting those parishioners at risk. If we ever get a heavy snow like they get up in the North Country and that roof collapses,
Yeah,
you could have a catastrophe on your.
Yes, the safety issues, you might have disabled people, have they, that gentleman address that?
And I don't want his plowing their snow up there and it going into, making our, property, saturated. Bad enough, we have the wetlands behind us. And you're talking about giving them all these variances and everything and whatnot, and Mr. LeJudas wants to go ahead and keep that. The only reason why he wants to keep that rental property is because he'll have revenue, pay his taxes. And that's the only reason why he wants a resident in there. And that's all I gotta say.
Okay, thank you.
Did he state his name for the record? I'm not sure he did. We have his name.
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Patrick Goodwin.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So Tim, we're probably going to need to involve you in some of the responses to this. I'm just going to ask, is there anyone else who wants to speak against this? Okay. At this time, I'll close the public hearing. Tim, if you want to come up. There's some things that I can answer tonight. There's some things the codes might be able to answer tonight, and there's some things that Tim should be able to answer tonight. So the first being what allows a church in this area. Now, just in general, when you're talking about commercial and specifically general commercial, which is here, religious institutions is something that's allowed. Actually, residential use is an existing non-conforming use of it. So I wanted to clear that one up. Also the residential. The building location, I'll let Tim talk to. The notice letter, since we're not the planning board, I don't know how the notice went out. And I don't have records of that there, but I'm sure if you contact the codes office, they'll be able to tell you if notice went out for that. As far as the building being up to code, the way the process would go, and nothing's approved right now. This is all talking about being approved and trying to come to some kind of almost a negotiated settlement of what we would prefer versus what the applicant wants, because our charge is to approve the minimum variance required to be able to accomplish whatever task the applicant is going towards. So when it comes to building, let me finish and then we can move on with that. So assuming this process goes forward and it's approved, there would be a building permit issued for this because obviously things need to happen here to be able to make it a church. As part of that process, the town would be responsible for ensuring that the applicant goes and upgrades the facility to be able to make it right and habitable. So if there's issues with the roof, anything like that, that would all be a responsibility of the town and the codes enforcement. Before they issue a certificate of occupancy for it, someone has to go through and attest to the fact that the building is actually habitable for the use that is being intended. The maintenance, I wish I could talk to that, but that hopefully is something that the town and the codes office can be on top of in the future. The illegal parking, honestly, I can't talk to that either. I do understand your objections about the snow removal and the actual placement of that. I guess we can ask Tim to address what was gone through to actually place it there.
So,
And then just the one last thing, and then it's a little bit odd, but I'm gonna let another question come back. The very last thing was the wetlands. One of the things that you saw was that we designated this whole meeting to be a type 2 action. That has to do with the environmental permitting here. And rest assured, if there are wetlands involved here, the town is on top of that and no permit would be issued that would allow someone to build in wetlands. And not to mention the fact that this has gone through a pretty rigorous environmental review process, both with the county and with the town planning board. So I have confidence that, that what's being proposed here isn't violating anything, and even if it is, there's gonna have to be adjustments to it if they do find wetlands back here, or if they're within a certain distance of designated wetlands. So you did have one comment, Mr. Goodwin?
Yeah. There are funds, goes back against the building. I believe that, that is in, that building itself was, built in violation of the, code, the zoning code, because I don't believe there's, I think it's less than, 4 feet between our property lines and that building.
And some of this may, unfortunately, when we're dealing with these older properties, some of this may be something that was existing a long time ago before the existence of codes. There's a lot of things with these existing non-conforming structures that we can't necessarily clean up now because the property lines are where the property lines are.
If it's built in violation of the code back then, you can do something.
Assuming that the code existed, and I don't know when the building was built, but a lot of the, again, a lot of these existing non-conforming predate some of the codes that don't allow this anymore. So you're talking about the house or the structure? Okay, so the 40s not having the benefit, unfortunately, of being on the board at that point or being involved with the zoning code, I'm not sure exactly what it said back then, but I have a feeling that our current standards didn't exist at that point, and that's why this is existing non-conforming and why it's allowed to stay in its current form.
But if it wasn't violation, would have to go ahead and move the truck.
Or they get a variance. Right now, because it's existing non-conforming, it's allowed to stay the way it is. So Tim, I don't know if you wrote down any of this, but
And I don't know if we have the PDF of the site plan, but he's absolutely correct. One of the concerns was, and I don't know if you can see it on the site plans that I handed out, understand that the existing pavement is very close to his existing stockade fence. Okay?
Property is not the stockade fence.
Nope.
The property goes 5 inches past the stockade fence and 9 inches from the south, west
Correct.
corner of the house.
He's correct. Yep, that's what I'm just talking about the pavement in relationship to the stockade fence. He's correct. The stockade fence is on his property and there's roughly 6 to 8, 9 inches between the stockade fence and the property line. What I'm saying is what this is depicting here is the proposed edge of pavement. Okay, so the existing edge of pavement comes down through here. We're actually and it comes in here. We're actually proposing getting rid of at least 10 feet of pavement to allow more space for the snow removal. And that was part of the site plan process. So his concerns about the snow and snow removal are absolutely 100% correct. But we are trying to pull pavement away from his property and away from the fence to mitigate a lot of that. As far as the wetlands concerned, and again, that's part of the reason why we're not going, and I forgot to say something about that. That's part of the reason why we're trying not to utilize this back area is because there probably are wetlands back there. We didn't do a wetland study, but on the county websites do show wetlands in the back here. We are not encroaching on them. We're not moving. None of our proposed improvements are going to the north, and that's why we don't have to get into the wetland permitting or wetland delineation, because we're not getting any closer to the existing wetlands. None of our improvements of the pavement or any of that are going farther north, so that's why we're not worried about the wetland impact. So that's why the wetlands haven't really been discussed. What else was there? I think those were the two main, and a lot of his concerns and their concerns are a lot of zoning and planning board concerns, which we have to get back in front of the planning board. If this moves forward, the planning board has not approved the site plan. They can't approve the site plan until this is all gone through, and that's why it's all on hold. We will probably be on not this week's, planning board agenda, but probably the next planning board agenda if they more than willing to come and express their concerns at the planning board's level. But again, a lot of the planning that went into this took that kind of stuff into consideration.
Okay. Can we also, and again, I'm jumping way ahead because nothing's approved yet, but can we make sure that they're notified if this goes through, that we notify them so that they can come to the planning board? I'm not sure they have an actual public input session, but
They do.
okay.
They take public input.
Can we make sure? Thank you. Did the planning board talk about noise at all?
They did not talk about noise
Okay.
at all. Again, this is a very small church. Right now, I think they have 15 to 20 people that actually attend the mass on a regular basis. So it's not anything that's very large. They do have, I think once a month, they have some type of congregation or some type of special meeting where they might push that to 20 around 30 people or something like that.
Okay.
I think we went through all this in the planning.
Are they already meeting there?
Nope, no, this is not, they have an existing location in Liverpool. That's where their current church, it's actually a commercial warehouse type building, but they're looking to move to this location. And they're fixing up the building and, oh, that was the other thing, as far as fixing up the building, they can't really start doing any of the improvements on this site until we get site plan approval. And then, yes, they have to improve the building. They have to take down all the shrubbery and clean it all up. And they can't get a C of O to operate without the codes office going out there and making sure they do all the necessary improvements and make sure it's safe and all that prior to operating out of there.
Churches notoriously don't have any money. Sounds like a pretty significant renovation is required. How confident are you that it's gonna be?
I don't have any of the building plans, so they're taking down the face, that stucco facade that is on there now. That's all coming down and they're painting and redoing the outside of the building. There's some pretty decent architecturals that we did for the site plan that they can see at the site plan meeting. I don't think we included that package with us, but they're improving the face of the building and it'll look nice, or it's proposed to look nice. And again, that's something that the codes office has to hold them to and before they get any type of C of O.
There's a new roof and structural repairs too.
I don't know as far as that goes. I don't off the top of my head.
But like I said, in order to make the facility
Yeah.
safe, those are things that they would have to do before they could get a certificate of occupancy.
Right.
Sure.
Tim, we got not my issues ahead of time, but you mentioned, the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical and environmental conditions. I think you said no. But, as I'm looking at it, there's about 12,000 square feet of parking lot.
Yep.
And you add that up times any accumulation of snow. Have you done the math? Can you put the snow where you think you're gonna be able to put the snow that covers, the amount of snow that you're gonna have to move? Can you put it to where that spot is from a volume perspective?
We didn't specifically do the math, but we have snow removal areas in this area here. And again, the additional area over here, and we can even put some up.
Wait, go slow. I
sorry.
know the one area on the east side.
We have room to put snow here in the back. We have room over here in the back. And if needed be, we could put some up front as well.
And where's the entry?
Yeah,
Entry's right here.
in that area to the north there where you said we can put snow there, is there gonna be curbing there around those parking spots or?
Nope, this is just edge of
Okay,
pavement
all
right
right.
here. So they can push the snow through here.
And you said the church will be leasing
The church will be leasing the building and property, yes.
So the area of pavement that exists, they do not have to add pavement to this structure once it's rehabbed, or
We're adding pavement in this area right here.
up front? Okay.
Up front on this side, because there's existing pavement here. We're taking pavement out over here. And I think we're taking pavement out right here. And we're taking some pavement out in this area. You can kind of see it on the site plan package, where we highlight, we actually hatch out areas that we're taking pavement out. Sheet, 2 of 3.
Yep.
Some of this island is pavement right now, so some of this island's getting taken out as far as pavement goes. And a lot of that's the snow storage and all that. Again, we addressed with the planning board.
No, right, and what I was trying to get at is, the physical environmental conditions is, based on the concerns of the neighbor, right? Yep.
The questions?
Does this fall in the new design standards area for the town? Okay.
So it could potentially be, what we're calling the downtown.
Yeah.
Or the city center section. The latest revision pushes that all the way to Lawton, I believe.
Pretty close to the town line then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not right at the town line. As I know we're flip-flopping the non-conforming, we're basically taking a 60-foot non-conforming width and just flopping it over to the west side of the two properties.
I can almost live with that one. Like I said, I'm having a problem creating a non-conforming issue.
With the
with
garage
with the
being
2
2
feet.
feet.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would feel okay about it if that garage was gone. I would feel okay about the 69.2 feet if we didn't have the garage there. Sounds like it's not being used.
Would it be,
I mean, so the house would then be 11, Terry, right?
Mhm.
Why not? We could also jog the property line too, right? And get
I
11.
like that idea of jogging the property line.
Okay.
I'll live with it if
No, I mean,
if you think that works.
well, I mean,
Well,
it gives us,
the house would be 14.
is it 14?
I think it says. I just got a new prescription. I think it says 14.
Unless I'm scaling off the wrong.
It's 14.
house is 14.
Okay. Maybe this is wrong.
Unless it
14 from
shows
the
differently
new,
on
oh
it.
yeah.
No,
that's-
that's, yeah, that's right.
I see 11, but okay.
I see 11.
It's on,
this
the one that
one.
says sheet 2 of 3.
Yeah, but on the survey.
Yeah, but I
it
mean,
is
I'm
11.
going off a survey that's supposed to be the scale, so.
It's 11 from the new property line. Oh, 14 to the proposed.
Right, 11 to
Oh.
the line.
Oh.
Right.
Stand corrected.
Oh, I see it. Okay.
Better prescription.
I mean, I get your concern it's gonna look wacky, but it's the same owner, right? I mean, it's not like we're talking about 2 different people, right? Or conversely, your original idea of making them all one property.
But you can't do that if it's not a rectory, can you?
Well, I threw that out there as I honestly, I'm not sure
Okay.
if that's the case. My feeling here is that whatever we do, we're going to be stuck with for the foreseeable future because there's no guarantee that that house that's a rental right now will stay under the same ownership as
Right.
the church and vice versa.
Which is the reason why I'm trying to get some distance in perpetuity. Right?
Again,
Harry, is that combining idea just completely out there, or is that something that we could do? Okay.
I don't think you can have two uses on one lot. It can't be a single family residential and a commercial building on the same.
That
think-
feels right to me.
Right, I think you have.
Yep.
Right, I think you can have two separate commercial entities, uses on a commercial property. I don't believe you can have a commercial and residential use on one parcel.
Okay, so then we're in a use variance territory, which I don't want to get into, so we're gonna scrap that. So the question comes down to whether we ask for the garage to be taken down or whether we ask for the property line to be moved. If it's take the garage down, I think we owe it to the applicant to take that back and consider it and come back before us.
Yeah, consider either one, right? And pick whatever one.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
okay. So Tim,
Yep.
the owner's not here.
The owner's not here today. I'd be confident that we'd be okay with jogging the line and creating more space between the property line. If it comes down to whether or not he wants to remove that garage, I would ask for an additional meeting to get that answer. If the board's comfortable with jogging the line and giving us like 10 feet over there instead of the 2 feet, then I think we can make that work and I'd be comfortable agreeing to that. If the board's stuck on getting an answer about the garage being removed, I'd ask that we adjourn it to the next meeting.
I'd like to see you get, Tim, the same exact distance that it would be from the house to the existing, to the property line you're proposing.
So roughly 11 feet.
11,
Okay.
yeah.
Jog it in 11 or yeah, towards the,
Yeah, just
Towards the
get,
church.
get us 11
yeah,
away
go
from.
north from there.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, I know you can. You could make it,
I was just thinking about the proposed pavement, that's all.
Yeah.
But we can shift that pavement if we have to a little bit to the
Yeah.
east. So what I'm saying, what I was worried about is specifically, we put the property line 11. I was just worried about this proposed pavement corner.
Sure.
But worst case scenario, I can shift this over this way a little bit because we have room over here to take out to use up some of this. We still wouldn't be moving to the east. The pavement wouldn't be moving to the east as far as to the neighbor's property. We'd actually just be eliminating a little pavement in here. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
How's everybody else feeling about that?
All I'm gonna say is in Clay, we do have a number of churches with residences on the property. So I don't know if that's allowed by your code or not. It appears to be allowed by ours. Doesn't mean they're the same.
wait, yours and ours, make sure I'm following you.
Clay allows it.
Okay, so,
I don't know if Cicero does. That's. No. In one specific case, the property is rented.
The only thing I will say with that is I think that churches are different zoning. I don't think the churches in Clay are commercial zoning. So you got the
No, they're not. You're right. You're right. You're right.
It's residential.
Yeah.
no, there's a specific.
No, just specific
I
zone.
think it's
for it.
recreational,
Recreational.
anyway?
recreational in Clay.
It's, I think it's worth investigating because if it can be done, that's an easy way out. for
Hey.
everyone.
Because again, with the Goodwins, I'm thinking 50 years down the road, if something changes here, we at least have if ownership changes, if the use changes, we would at least have the opportunity to have something that resembles a reasonable sized parcel that's general commercial. All right, so let's do this. I'd like to defer this to our next meeting, which will be January 3rd, I believe. It's on the list that I covered up. January 6th, sorry. I'd like to defer that to January 6th. And there's 3 questions, 2 that we have to answer. Sorry, 1 that we have to answer, 2 that you have to answer. One is, can we combine these? And we'll have to do some research on that. The second, which I think I know the answer to, or we've been told, is that if we want to get an 11-foot offset from the garage to the property line, that can be done. The third would be, and I'm putting this out there for the board because I could go either way on it, is the question of whether the applicant, the owner, would be willing to take down the garage, which makes that entire thing, that entire issue go away.
Would you still need it though for the house? Cause that's 11 feet, not 15.
You'd still need it for the house,
Yeah,
but that,
you'd be trading off 2 for 11,
Right,
right?
right.
Tim, are you okay with taking that back? Okay, we appreciate that. So with that, I'd make a motion to defer this until our January 6th meeting, pending the approval of the meeting dates. That's gonna happen later. Do I have a second?
Second,
Mind calling the roll?
Mr. Rabia?
Yes, the motion.
Ms. Luckett?
yes, the motion.
Mr. Bick?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays?
Yes, the motion.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes to the motion. Thank you. With that, I believe the second case, we should probably hold off on that until
Fine.
next time. Okay. So with that, I will make a motion to defer our second case until our January 6th, 2025 meeting. Do I have a second? Second. You will call the roll, please.
Mr. Rabia?
Yes, the motion.
Mr. Luckett? Ms. Luckett? Sorry.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Bick?
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays?
Yes, the motion.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes to the motion. Thank you, everyone, for your patience on that.
This.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, and I should note, we're going to leave the public comment session open on both cases. I'm going to reopen that just so that in January, there can be additional comments.
Taking the garage down. Yeah.
Okay, so we've deferred our second case. Our third case tonight is Jared Vanskiak. Apologies if I mangled your name. Of 7085 State Route 31. All right, very good. If you wouldn't mind coming up and describing what you want to do.
Coming forth. Well, I did, I think, include a description. How's it going, everybody, by the way?
Great, good.
I'm just gonna read that pretty much, because
Sure.
it pretty much puts it out to what I really want to do. So I have. I live at 7085 New York State Route 31. in Cicero. I'm applying for a 10-foot street line variance to build a 20 by 30 garage slash shop for my thriving up and coming electrical business and personal storage needs. Right now I live at a very small lot and I really don't have like a garage or much storage. So I'm kind of struggling on that part. So this is like my way of getting that done. I only have one place the garage can go due to the confinements of my lot. If you pull up what you already did, thank you. If you look in the backyard there, I got a septic tank on the side of the house and then the leach field is pretty much the whole back lot. You could see marked at L, I believe. And there's 60-foot leach lines that are, I think, 10 to 12 feet apart. So there's really nowhere to go out back because of that, because that was my original plan and that failed. So I can't really do anything on the sides of the house because the lot is very narrow. And I can't really add anything onto the house because of foundational issues with the existing property. And also I would prefer a separate building, especially if it's a garage for insurance reasons, fire, safety, all that. So I'm left with the front of the area of my property to put it where it would work the best. And I pretty much put a lot of thought into this. I spent a lot of time trying to find the best place to put it and size to accommodate for the variance, because trust me, I would love a 40 by 40 building or something, because bigger is better for my business. But I'm just trying to work with you guys the best way possible. So like I came up with the 10-foot because I wanted some room between the existing house and the new building for drainage, aesthetics, and fire safety. And then I also turned the building to go with the same alignment as the house. So it's really just that southwest corner that I'm asking for the 10-foot variance. And it should carry the same angle as a house to where that northwest corner or northeast or southeast corner would end up being like within the lot confinements of 30 feet. So that's pretty much sums it up. It's really not much to it. It's just riding on you guys, I guess, because without this, I don't really know where else I'm gonna go. I might end up having to just sell the property or turn it into like a rental thing, because I really need a building for my electrical business. And like I said, personal storage needs. I'm really getting sick of brushing my truck off all the time. And I got a trailer too that I'd like to tuck away. And I've had a few problems with theft too. People coming up there and just taking stuff from my front door because it's just so exposed. And I feel like with the building there, it might kind of enclose my property a little better too, to kind of, keep the eyes off it, if you will. Not to mention, I wanted to do like a really nice tree line fence, like landscaping to kind of border off the front and side lot to kind of make it look nicer to the street view too. So it's not just like a open lot with just two buildings on it. My driveway would accommodate for it too, because I was hoping a side load. So I wouldn't have to do much there. And yeah, like I said, it's pretty much cut and dry. Hoping you guys can see it.
I'm looking at your drawing and I see the 20 feet on the, I guess, southwest side.
Yes.
It looks like you made notation to 30 feet on the southeast side, and I don't see 30 feet. I think you're
Well,
20 again, not 30.
I hate to say it, but the guy who did my land survey, when he put that building on this updated survey, he didn't really place it properly. I had to kind of, like you can see, I had to handwrite it in there a little bit, because he was giving me like the no call, I'd call him to ask him to change it. He
Sure.
wasn't calling me back. And then I was coming up to the meeting and I'm like,
But-
well, I know for a fact that when I lay this building out, I will be, because you can see where the house is sitting on the lot, how it's on an angle. And you could see that side of the building, the proposed building is even with it, 9.4. So you can only kind of just use your head. If you just look at it and just picture it, it will be shifted. It's just on the computer, when he put it on there, he didn't add that in properly. It's like, it's like uneven, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not following it. The math doesn't work though, right?
No,
If you're,
it doesn't look right.
if you're
but-
20, if you're 20 on Southwest, you might be 21 on Southeast, right? Maybe.
Judging-
Especially if you're 9.4 and 9.4 is consistent, right? Or else, again, the math doesn't work out if.
I would say you're probably right, but I'm willing to bet it's at least 5 feet difference than 1 foot. I know the picture's hard to, like I said, they didn't really place it on there properly. But if you did it, if you took a tape measure at my property and you know, scaled it off the house and then you went that 20 feet of the proposed building
Yeah.
and then took that to the street line, you're looking at about 25 to 30 feet, somewhere in between there. I double checked it at home after I got this drawn up because I really wanted to make sure I had my ducks in a row here. And-
Have you pinned the corners of it in your yard? You gone out and like actually driven stakes?
Oh, yeah, the guy did, and I tied a string from one to the other on the front, and that's how I was able to pull off.
Gotcha.
So I had a whole line to go off of instead of like an imaginary line.
So just to be clear, you're saying the survey is not accurate.
With the proposed building on the street line, I would say it's accurate, except for that one corner, the one that says 30 feet.
Yeah.
And then obviously the one that says 10 on the southwest corner, that one's probably going to be a little bit more too, because if you twist the building, it would pull that away from the side lot, probably another 12 or 2 to 5 feet, something like that. So they only included those 2 lines. Like I said, I added those other 2 to kind of help alleviate the issue. I'm still waiting to hear back from the guy, to be honest with you. So, because I paid him last year to do this, and I thought he'd update it for me like easy peasy, and because he got out there quick, you know, he did the job for me, and then this whole getting me the drawing like took like 3 months, and so.
So you're saying you're not disputing your property boundary, you're
no.
disputing the tilt of
Yeah.
how that building
Right.
fits on the,
It's supposed to be
So it's-
more this way.
I mean, the front yard setback is supposed to be 30 feet, so
Correct.
you've got,
I definitely need the setback either way, so I looked at it like, what's the difference? I guess it still needs to be 10 feet at that corner, max, so whether it's 10 feet at the other corner still, or 9 feet, or 0 feet, I mean, it's still that 10 foot I still need.
What's the motivation to maintain the 9.4 between the building, proposed building and the house?
Aesthetics, plus that's where my front door is, so when I walk out, I'd be walking, you know, right into another building. And the roof line's gonna be coming down right there too, so I know I'll have a gutter there to kind of alleviate the rain drainage, but my plan was to leave enough room in between for fire safety too, you know, I know you could be pretty close to an existing building as long as it's sheetrocked, but I'm in construction and I just know how things lay out, and the more space I have between there, the better it's gonna be. And it's gonna look better too. If I had a building crammed right up to the front of my house, it probably wouldn't look the greatest. So,
can I ask, is an electrical business allowed in agricultural? Is it even allowed, what we're talking about?
yeah. Sorry, sorry.
So that's what we're considering, home occupation?
It's not just for,
you don't advertise.
I don't even advertise.
I mean, it sounded like we were talking about trucks and,
No, it's just me. I'm one guy. 5 years into business and I'm still going pretty good. So I think it's gonna keep going well for me. I need places to put my ladders that aren't outside anymore. And right now I'm using a trailer for storage and it's just sketchy with the theft problems I've had already. And this is really a make or break situation for me to get this building put up. And living in Cicero. I love it here. You guys have been really good to me. In fact, I'm starting to do work for you guys too. Mike Aragano calls me and had me go do work at the police station last week. I did some work for Plank Road Park, Central Park. I fixed the lighting over there on the building, so we cut down that ugly crooked pole that was sitting in the front there. So I'm expecting it to get a little larger, business, like maybe not employees, but like just things to do. And,
I can't make your twist work. If I go 30 feet from that southeast line,
yep,
I'm into your house with the building.
okay, so
I buy that.
if it doesn't work, I still would need the 10-foot then.
So the,
Well,
so
Go ahead,
if I
I'm
can
sorry.
just, no, you're
maybe
fine.
I'm missing something,
You're
Chuck. Go
fine.
ahead.
You're not. I think the 30 feet's off, but I just want you to be aware that what's for us tonight is the 20-foot, the 20-foot front yard, which means that that building could be on the corner, could be 20 feet on the southeast corner, could be more than that. But what we're not addressing is the side yard. And I don't have any intention to, because the side yard is shown at 10. 10 is the minimum side yard for residential use in agricultural, which I believe this is.
Right.
That's what I was looking up.
But if you twist
So
it, it's gonna
if
go a lot
you
less.
twist it,
Yeah.
so the one thing I'm gonna warn you is that if you twist that and the northwest corner of that goes below 10 feet,
Oh,
you
well,
have violated all the,
again, I
any
get it.
setbacks, so.
So if anything, just shift it more this way. So therefore I can still twist it this way
To the east.
Yeah,
to the east. Yep.
so what we would give you is an envelope to work within, and where you put that garage is up to you, as long as you don't go outside of that.
Perfect.
And obviously, as long as you maintain fire code separation, which, codes will make sure you, I
I can't believe how close they let you put them, but
think it's like 5 feet or something.
with that.
And when you lay this out, if this goes forward, focus your side yard setback on that northwest corner,
Yeah.
not the southwest corner.
Yes, please. Because then you'll be back in front of us and it
Right.
probably won't be a
Oh,
good,
no, God,
it won't be a good
This
thing.
is something I am hoping we can just take care of and get a yay or nay and then move on from there. I've spent a lot of time on this already and
You can tell.
it's pretty, you guys, you hear this all the time, I'm sure, so. I just, it's a dream of mine. I would rather have a garage than a house, to be honest with you. I'm that type of guy where I would rather just work out there, be out there, do things. And to go this long without one, I don't know how I've done it, but I
Are there
don't know.
any,
I just, I had something in the works with my neighbor too, and it just never worked out.
well, that was gonna be another question of mine, but any utilities going to this?
Yeah, well, you could see my utility line now is overhead and it hits the center of the front of the house. So my plan is to go underground from the pole to the new proposed building, do a 200 amp feed through meter socket, and then sub feed to the existing house. So
Okay.
everything would be underground then.
No sewer, no water, no.
No,
Okay,
I don't need anything like that. I just need a place to put my truck.
okay.
Are you guys comfortable with this without a more accurate survey?
Well, I think what we're gonna say is we're gonna anchor it in that one southwest corner, right? And then from there, he's gotta go figure it out, right? I
Yeah.
think
Okay.
I think he's got some geometry problems on this drawing, but
Right.
that'll be for him to figure out.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll give a general envelope, and however it lays within that, as long as it doesn't go outside that envelope, I think we're good.
Sounds
Or at least
good.
I would be. So with that, let's talk about the public hearing. So at this point, I'll open the public hearing. Would anyone speak for this? Would anyone speak against this? Okay, at this time, I'll close the public hearing. If the board doesn't have any further questions, would someone like to review the 5 factors?
I'll review them, Chuck.
Thank you.
Before I make a motion, review the 5 factors for balancing test for area variance. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to the nearby properties will be created. I think the answer is no for this one. I think to his point, if you go up and down Route 31, there's a lot of similar looking properties and structures as you work your way down Route 31.
Ms. Luckett,
Oh, I agree.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
Agreed.
Whether the applicant can achieve his goals via reasonable alternative, which does not involve the necessity of area variance. He's got a really unique situation with the leach field and the septic system, where he's got some space. I get what he's looking to do. So, I don't think he can in this case. I think he'd be challenged to site this building without a variance.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
Agreed.
Whether very substantial, by any definition, I think, 10 feet out of 30 is likely substantial. So I would say yes.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree, but I would also note that that is not necessarily a reason to deny the motion.
Yep, fair enough. Whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood, I think the answer to that is no.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
And then whether there's been any self-created difficulty, just by the definition of him coming in asking for a variance, absolutely, there's a self-created, but again, as Chuck mentioned earlier, that in itself is not a reason to deny.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
With that, I'll make a motion for, help me with the last name,
Van Scoik.
Okay, I'll
Got
make a
it
motion
right.
for Jared Van Scoik of 7085 State Route 31 for an area variance where a proposed 20 by 30 detached garage has a front yard setback of 20 feet where a distance of 30 feet is required. I'm thinking, do we want to get specific with the southwest, or
I think
I-
the envelope is
I
established.
think that's fine, yeah.
I'll second
Say
that
no
motion.
more than 20 feet in case it shifts.
As a front yard setback,
No closer than.
no closer than 20, thank you. No closer than 20 feet where minimum distance of 30 feet is required, thank you.
I'll re-second that.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes to the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes, to the motion.
Mr. Bick,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays,
Yes, the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. Congratulations. Motion passed.
Oh. Yeah, yeah. That was my assumption, is that he's got to meet the bulk regulation.
That's a point well taken.
Yeah,
We
fair
can
enough.
add that.
So I could put it in
Thank you,
conditions,
Terry.
Terry, or just add it to the motion? All right, you just amend the motion just to make sure he meets all of the bulk regulations. Thank you.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
Oh, okay, great.
Motion passed.
Well, we're good now.
You're good.
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 Wow.
Well, now wait till you get actually something from the codes office before you
Sure.
go and start building, but yes.
I don't know if
you're
you
good to go.
noticed, but I probably won't be starting any type of construction till nicer weather.
Yeah, it's probably,
Cause
it's
like I
advisable.
said, I work in this construction business. I know what goes on, and you don't want to build right now.
Yeah.
Nicer weather. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So our fourth case tonight is Ryan Lansafam A. I'm sure you can correct me if I got that wrong. I'm pretty sure I did.
Oh, Lands of Fame.
Lansafam, thank you.
How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, sir? So this is for a property on 5691 Mud Mill Road. If this sounds familiar, folks, it's because we had this in December 2022.
Yep.
And
Kings Capital, if I'm not mistaken.
That's not us this time.
I know, I know.
so with that, the only other thing I wanted to point out with that before I let you discuss, or describe what your proposal is that last time, it seems like we missed the Onondaga County Planning Board, because there was no decision on file for that, but this is on county roads, so they do have some input on this. There's a couple things I wanted to point out here. They did mention the, extreme amount of wetlands present on site. They do want the DEC to be consulted prior to approval of the proposed project. They talk about drinking water. They talk about the site possibly containing the Indiana bat. But what they specifically say, they recommend the following modifications. A municipality must ensure delineated wetlands with a 100-foot state wetland buffer have been confirmed by DEC. Then that also needs to be shown on the plans prior to or as a condition of municipal approval. The Department of Health must formally accept and approve respectively any existing or proposed septic system service to the property prior to or as a condition of municipal approval. And then they offer the following comments. The municipality should consider the extent of developable land remaining upon confirmation of the wetland boundaries and buffer area, ability to provide adequate wastewater treatment, and meet other setback requirements resulting from the proposed subdivision as a part of the review of the proposed variances. And then the second one is the subdivision map should include locations of any existing or proposed septic system to service these lots prior to or as a condition of municipal approval of the subdivision. So with that, I'll let you talk about what your project is.
Okay, yeah, so we bought the parcel in August. Originally we were planning on renting the home and then using the garage as self-storage for jet skis, boats, yada, yada. Summer cars, stuff like that. We have now decided we'd like to sell the house and not be landlords. So that's why we're trying to split the property. We've made vast improvements to the residence and the shop already. And we're looking to try to separate that so we can sell. As far as the wetland buffer, I mean, we are in the works to get that on the survey. I know that was one of the recommendations they had was to get the 100-foot buffer or whatnot on the survey. And then as far as the DEC, is it they just want the wetlands on there? Because I was a little confused on that.
So I know the codes office will walk you through that, but typically as this goes along, the DEC will get an opportunity to review this and just confirm that you're not encroaching on any wetlands or within the 100-foot boundary.
And there's no septic tank for the parcel A. So for the shop or the garage, whatever it is, there's no septic there. There is septic at the house. Before we closed, they moved that. There was an old septic in the back. They installed a new septic in the front of the leach field. That was not put on the survey because our surveyor went before they actually installed it before we closed. We are working to get that put on as well. We are working with the town to figure out who installed it and exact measurements to put it on our new survey.
Okay, so talk about these uses again. So your parcel B, you would just sell.
Yep. Yes.
And then parcel A, which is, it's essentially a garage.
Yeah.
You said you've kind of rehabbed, renovated that a little bit and
Yeah, as much as I can. I'm working on it. It's an expensive deal, but
Is that gonna be a base of operations for your landscaping business? Is that the
Yeah.
plan? Are you gonna use that for your landscaping business? as
No,
opposed
it's
to
mostly
operations?
just storage, like
Okay.
jet skis, boats, all stuff like that.
Yeah, you're right. Hey, Brian. Oh, sorry. No, go ahead. No. Isn't this creating an auxiliary structure without a residence? Mhm.
Should be 2 acres. That's why we did. On a resident or on an ag lot, you only need 2 acres.
Okay,
To put an accessory building without a resident. So, because he has so much wetlands, that's where the variance comes in.
Yep.
To-
okay. Just wanted to double check that. Thank you. Right. 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 So my only concern then goes to the future where if this frame building on parcel A, the garage goes away or needs to get built, can anything really reasonably be built there? Or are we kind of shoehorning this into a situation where it's always going to be non-conforming?
All depends on where that wetland. That line that's on that map now is the wetland, at the edge of the wetland. It looks like that entire lot.
I think the wetlands are quite different than that. Isn't that just a topo line?
Yeah,
That's
that
not-
outside line, I believe, is the buffer. That's what I think.
So it says 100-foot buffer for wetland.
That line is the buffer.
Yeah. I recall from a couple years ago, Chuck,
See on the person between, it's Casey?
Yeah.
See the line that says they have the buffer on it?
Yes.
That, somehow that has the buffer on it, so it looks like the house is in the buffer. The house that he wants to sell. And then the
It also realistically looks like the road is in the buffer then too.
well, yeah, that's. Goes across the road.
Yeah.
And then barring or re-verification of this, because this was done back in, 2022. So it shouldn't really, hopefully it shouldn't change that much, but it looks like then the frame building's in the buffer also. So you said you're having someone re-verify all of this and show it, or are you sticking with what's shown on the map itself?
I was waiting on direction, really. I was a little confused on the recommendations for sure what you wanted. We're trying to square up the survey so it matches. At least we can add on the new septic if you guys want that to the front yard of the residence. And then, yeah, we were gonna work on sure the buffer was all right.
I'm not sure we can make a decision without the wetlands being here, can we?
Well, just for clarity, there are wetlands shown. We just
Yeah.
need some confirmation that they're correct as of now.
I mean, I seem to recall from 2022, we end up in the same position, right? The garage was always going to be a garage, nothing more, right?
Yeah.
Which is the reason why the prior owner wanted to separate the property, right? I think
Yeah.
he wanted to do the same thing this applicant's doing.
And what
I
did we
feel like
decide?
there was also there's this Casey that's kind of shoehorned in this whole horseshoe looking situation here.
Do you recall what we decided in 2022? Did we take action or no?
I think we approved it.
I think we approved it.
We approved basically what he's asking for, right?
Essentially, yeah.
Effectively.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's just the county decision gave me a little pause because they started talking about the remainder of,
Yeah.
what's actually buildable out here.
Which is fair, right?
It is.
Probably nothing, really.
So we approved it and then they never finalized the
I
re-subdivision? Is
have
that what
no
happened?
idea.
They never went to the next meeting. Yeah.
So here's the question. I'm hoping, I'm sorry to put you on the spot. The county planning board mentioned things that are shown on the map right now. Are we asking for are they asking for a re-verification of that? Can we send a question to them and?
Which right now it's not on the entire map, it's only on the PC lot.
Okay, so that's. Gotcha.
They want that shown?
Yep. Okay.
They have to put that in through the health department?
I believe so, yeah. Yes, we did speak with Steve. He said he could get us the information on how to get it put onto the survey.
Once these things are added. This is granted, Steve can make sure these things are on the map before it's filed.
That's what he told us to. Sure, that at least the septic tank for sure.
This isn't the set. This is.
Okay. So it gets back down to, are we comfortable with the subdivision as is? And then we can make conditions, we can pull in the Onondaga County Planning Board conditions.
I think my opinion is the same now as it was a couple years ago, right? It's, I mean, it's.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
please.
Can't wait for this. Hopefully,
Yeah.
hopefully I didn't say something.
I think-
Totally different.
I think also as the parcel sits right now, it's non-conforming, right? Because there's not 1 acre exclusive of wetlands
Correct.
as it is, right?
Correct.
So it really doesn't, I mean, other than the fact that you're split, it really doesn't change much.
No,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think all it enables him and the prior applicant was to be able to sell the house, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
basically what the goal was, sell the house.
But I
keep
mean,
the-
even parcel B as far as is non-conforming the same amount that the whole parcel would be conforming as far as the 1 acre.
Correct,
Yeah,
because there's no
right.
usable land, right?
Yep.
And that's the one additional consideration, which is we're creating a property where eventually that may go away and nothing comes back. So we've just got a piece of property that's not usable, period,
It's just wetlands.
just wetlands. You made the motion, Mark.
I did.
You did.
Jesus.
Let's see if you give the same answers.
I have no idea what I did. We approved it though? I mean.
We did
yeah,
approve it,
okay.
yes.
I'm not making it again, so.
You want me to
Alright.
give it a try?
I
Oh,
believe,
wait a minute.
Well, hold on, you
I
gotta do a
believe-
bunch of things yet.
yeah,
Okay.
I believe I didn't get to the public hearing yet, so. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Will anyone speak for this? Make sure you state your name and where you live.
Fletcher, 6492 Long Point Road. I live on the
Same thing as-
peninsula and we have lots of toys accumulated. And I'm one of the property owners and I'm 69 years old and I'm sick of parking my car that doesn't have a remote start in the driveway when I could be parking in the garage where a lot of the toys reside. So that's why we bought this parcel with my daughter and son-in-law, so we could get the trailers and the lawnmowers and the snowmobiles and the whatever else out of the driveway. And I greatly appreciate that courtesy, you know. And as far as we had planned on renting the house after we renovated it, which we've been doing. However, when I and my husband saw the liability that you acquire with renting a property, we no longer were interested in that. And seeing that we have a significant amount of money in the property, we asked, to start this proceeding because we had seen from our realtor that they had been approved for this before, 2 years prior to this. But now, we have to go through the whole process again. And Mr. Procopio, Steve?
Yes, Steve.
He also said about the septic, that it was approved by the town, however, and that it could be shown on the survey. But the survey happened before.
Would anyone else, okay, would anyone speak against this? At this time, I'll close the public hearing. Any other questions? Okay. So with that, would someone like to review the 5 factors? And make a motion?
I can do it.
Okay.
Factor 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood, or detriment to nearby properties will be created. No, there's really no change to anyone in the area along this stretch of the road.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stan.
I agree.
Number 2, whether the applicant can achieve his goals via a reasonable alternative, which does not include the necessity of an area variance. No, we can't really see any way to do this without an area variance, given the wetland situation.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Mr. Bick,
I agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stan.
I agree.
Number 3, whether the requested variance is substantial. Yes, one lot has almost 0 usable acres given the wetlands, and the other one has just a fraction of an acre. So it's substantial, but not a reason to deny.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Mr. Bick,
Agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stan.
I agree.
Whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. I believe the answer to that is no.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Mr. Bick,
I agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stan.
I agree.
And whether the difficulty is self-created just by the act of requesting the area variance, it's a self-created situation.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Mr. Bick,
I agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stan.
I agree, and I would also note that is not necessarily a reason to deny the variance.
Okay, on behalf of Ryan Lanzapane of 8624 Weaver Road, I make a motion to subdivide an agricultural zoned property into 2 parcels, each having less than the minimum lot area required. Proposed parcel A has 0 acres of lot area exclusive of the regulated wetlands, where a minimum of 2 acres is required for a non-residential use, and proposed parcel B has 0.21 acres of lot area exclusive of the regulated wetlands, where a minimum of 1 acre is required for a residential use. And we wanted to put some conditions that the wetlands have to be shown on the map and the septic.
So can we just say that all of the, we're bringing in all of the modifications and comments of the Onondaga County Planning Board as part of the approval? Yeah, but I think that's all we need to say.
Oh, okay. We'll add that.
Okay. And with that, I'll second the motion.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes to the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Bick,
Yes to the motion?
Mr. Mays.
Yes to the motion?
Mr. Stan.
Yes to the motion. Motion carried. Congratulations.
So.
You're welcome. All right, our fifth and final. Oh, thank you. You're gonna want this back. The minutes. Thank you for pulling those out. I appreciate it. Our fifth and final variance tonight is Anderson Water and Power for 7279 Lake Shore Road. Hi, good
I'm
evening.
actually the property owner.
Okay,
Anderson, they kind of delegated this back to me to do, so.
so you're John Ames?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Why don't you talk about your project, sir?
Okay, so what we're looking at doing is installing a full backup generator for the house.
It's the middle button. It may not work.
It's not working.
Like right
That's
here,
it,
right?
there.
Okay.
And the variance that we're requesting is, it has to be 5 feet from the property line. Brian, correct me if I'm, by the way, Brian's been very helpful with this. He came over. 6 feet, so see, that was wrong. But anyway, so Brian came over and actually helped us figure out where to put it with the vendor and, has been guiding us with that. So that's the variance we're asking for. It's a, 20 kW generator, and it'll have a 200 amp, automatic transfer switch. It's Cummins. It's a good unit. I've talked with both my neighbors on the right and the left. They don't have an issue with it. It'll be installed on crushed stone on a composite platform, and it's about roughly 4x4, something like that. And so we're asking for that variance in order to be able to place it there. The electricity is right in that area. The gas is right in that area, so that's the right place for it. And one of the questions we looked at is, do you want to put it on the other side of the house? You have the same issue with the property line, and you'd have to pipe all the way over there, which creates a lot more hazard, I would think. Excuse me. So that's where we are. And like I said, I did talk to my neighbors on the right there, Mastrolangelo's. They're good with it. And talked with one of the neighbors on the left side, Henson. They're good with it too.
Okay. More questions?
Is it quite a bit noisier than the air conditioning condensing unit? Do you know?
65, it's less than 65
Ah,
dB. It's
so
a
it's
very,
pretty quiet.
it's a very modern unit. It's, I got a picture of it, it kind of looks nice.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Hmm,
And
okay.
the units in here, you pick up the top, and it's 65 dB.
Yeah.
So,
I'm surprised for a 22 kW or whatever you said it was, 20 kW.
and it doesn't, keep in mind, it doesn't. run-
Exercises
Right.
once a week or whatever. Yeah, I got it. If the neighbor doesn't have any problem with it, then, yeah.
Okay, so at this time I will open the public hearing. Would anyone speak for this? Would anyone speak against this? This time I will close the public hearing. Would someone like to cover the 5 factors and make a motion?
Arm wrestle for it. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. No, in this area of Lake Shore, everything is non-conforming. So consequently, it is not a detriment to anything. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be archived.
Mr. Rabia,
Oh, I'm sorry.
I agree.
Yeah.
Ms.
yeah,
Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than a variance. It doesn't look like there's enough space on his lot to place it anywhere that's going to be within the zoning regulations, so I would say no.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
Whether the requested variance is substantial, all variances are substantial, but in this case, it's no reason to deny the variance.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
Whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district? No. No explanation necessary.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I can't think of anything else. I agree.
Whether the alleged difficulty is self-created? Yes, it is, but once again, that is no reason to deny the variance.
Mr. Rabia,
I agree.
Ms. Luckett,
I agree.
Mr. Mays,
I agree.
Mr. Stanton.
I agree.
Motion would be to allow. Think here real quick. Brian, don't quote me on this one. What's the setback in there? 6 feet? You said?
Don't read that.
It's 3.7. Okay, I didn't have my sheet. Motion is to approve a variance of 3.7 feet in lieu of a standard 6-foot variance for the installation of a generator.
Say
I just want to make sure this work, the 3.7 is the 2.3 is going to be the actual distance, 2.3 feet from the
From the property
generator
line?
to the property line.
Okay,
3.7 is what
other
we're
way.
It's the other
subtracting
way.
from the 6 to get 2.3.
Rob, just read that.
Here, he said to read that.
So they would be the.
okay, motion is to approve an area variance where the proposed generator is located 2.3 feet from the side property boundary where a minimum distance of 6 feet is required.
I'll second that motion.
Easy peasy.
Don't have that one.
Mr. Rabia,
Yes, the motion.
Ms. Luckett,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Bick,
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Mays.
Yes to the motion.
Mr. Stanton.
Yes to the motion. Congratulations. Motion carried. You're welcome. Okay, so bear with me a little bit longer, guys. We've got a little bit of other business that has to be taken care of. First is don't forget about the training requirements. Make sure you get record of your hours, your continuing education hours to myself for the end of the year. Definitely appreciate that. And then I believe everybody has had a chance to take a look at the tentative 2025 zoning board of appeals meeting schedule.
Yep.
So that is the first of every Monday, the first Monday of every month, with the exception of September. The first is Labor Day. So we're going to have it the second Monday, which is September 8th, still at 6 o'clock. Everybody's okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay. So with that, I will make a motion to approve the tentative 2025 schedule for the zoning board of appeals meetings. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. Then with that, if there's no other business before the board, I would like to make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a Second. Okay, all in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Motion carried. Meeting's ended.